Hi everybody. In today's video, I want to encourage somebody. And the way I'm going to encourage you today is by us asking ourselves this question: does God know everything? You know, that's a very obvious question, and of course, obviously for anybody who believes there's a God, or anybody who believes in divinity, or anybody who believes in spiritual power, obviously you will quickly answer me that question and say, of course God does know everything, because that's the obvious thing. But really, when you go back to scriptures, to the Bible, and that's my manual that I always use for reference for those of you who follow me on this channel, you will realize that we have places in that Bible of yours where we find God asking questions as though he doesn't know. You know, it's so funny. He's asking somebody a question, and if you would logically or rationally think about it, you would actually tell yourself that, oh, why would you need to ask me that? I thought you already knew. But I want you to understand that everything God says from his mouth, he does it deliberately and with a reason and a purpose. Because his word is very clear that nothing comes out of his mouth and goes forth void. In other words, there is nothing that he speaks that is void, or there is nothing that he speaks that has no meaning, that has no purpose, or has no reason. So when you've come across questions that God asks, and today I want us to use about 4 questions that we find in scriptures, where God is asking some individuals some very obvious questions, which we as people would expect him to be having an answer. Yet in those questions, there are loaded things, or there is something that he's actually trying to express to that individual, which becomes a lesson to us even as we listen to what he says concerning our lives. And you know, if you are in this life, the one thing that you don't want to miss out in is walking with God, because that is where everything begins from, right? From Genesis chapter number 1, when we talk about abundance, talk about wealth, we talk about prosperity, you realize right from the word go, God already had that in place, and he already had that in mind. In fact, it is so much so that when he was talking to man and he was saying, let us create man in our own image, what did he say? This particular individual that we are going to create that has our image, number one, he shall be a person who is going to be fruitful. So in reality, as far as God was concerned, right from day one, he expected us to produce fruit. Secondly, he said he's going to multiply. In other words, as far as God was concerned, this individual man was supposed to bring increase, was supposed to bring overflow in everything he does or he did, and in everything he was involved in. And then continues on and talks about subduing, having dominion, etc., etc., etc. That's not where I am today. What I'm basically trying to tell you is that God already had a plan for us. And because he already had a plan for us, there are times he will subject us to a particular question because he wants us not to think that he doesn't know things. No, it has nothing to do with him not knowing or him knowing, but it has everything to do with us understanding something concerning our own individual lives. I hope you get what I'm saying. Now I'm going to start with question number 1, where we find it in the book of Genesis chapter number 3 verse number 9, where God is asking Adam, and I would probably ask you to read chapter 1, chapter 2, and all the way to that verse, chapter number 3, so that you can be able to see the events that have unfolded before that question comes up. But then it's a question he's asking, Adam, where are you? Or where art thou? In other words, God was asking him, where are you located at this moment? Which place are you at this moment? Now you do realize that sometimes in life we really do need to be asked that question, because sometimes in life we actually don't know where we are. We need to be reminded our position. For us who believe in God especially, we need to be reminded our position in as far as life is concerned. We need to be reminded that, you know, the position you are at right now is a position of being blessed, is a position of being favored, is a position of being loved, is a position of prosperity, is a position of total health. You know, you need to be reminded many a times that the place you are at right now is a place of being well able, is a place of where you can overflow or have more than more than enough, where you can have more than enough. It's a place where you are destined for greatness. It's a place where you realize that you're a great achiever. You know that you're an anointed of God. You know you're full of great ideas. You know that you're not a mediocre. You are not average, but you are a forgiven child of God. You are a child of the very, very great God. That is our position. And when God is asking, where are you? It's simply because he wants to wake you up and bring you back to a place of realizing that you are already positioned somewhere in Christ. You're already positioned somewhere in God. You know, Adam had gone into hiding and had forgotten his position. Why had he gone into hiding? Is because when he looked at himself, he thought himself to be useless. He thought himself to be a sinner. He thought himself to be finished. He had all the negativity that was in his head concerning himself because of something that happened. And unfortunately, as I'm speaking right now, there are some of you out there who have already condemned yourself. You have already decided for yourself. You have decided you are good for nothing. You have decided you are mediocre. You have decided you are useless. You cannot achieve anything in as far as life is concerned. And you find that there are people who are walking in that kind of a condemnation on a daily basis. They wake up in the morning, they condemn themselves. They wake up in the morning, they judge themselves. They accuse themselves, and they are just walking a life where it's just a struggle day in and day out. Why is that so? Because as far as they're concerned, they already gave up with who they really are. But in this video, I told you I'm here to encourage you and to remind you that God is asking you, where are you? And when he's asking you that question, is because he's expecting a feedback. And the feedback is where you tell him, God, the position I'm holding right now is a position of being blessed. The position I'm holding right now is a position of being a great achiever, is a position of being a man or woman of excellence. The position I'm holding right now is a position of abundance and prosperity. The position I'm holding right now is a position of becoming a great achiever, a position of one who is full of ideas, a position of one that is going somewhere in as far as life is concerned, a position of somebody who has a great destiny, a position of one that is going to handle millions and millions and millions of dollars or monies for that matter, because you may be from another country. Whatever place you are at, I want you right now to hear God asking you that question, where are you? Because when God asks you a question, it's not because he doesn't know where you are. It's simply because he wants that question to reflect back to yourself, or rather he wants that question to cause you to reflect back to yourself. And then when you reflect back to yourself, the answer you will give him is that, oh yes, I have just been remembered. The position I am at, or the place I am at, is a place of somebody who is going somewhere. As a person, as a young man, because I know we have young men there. Just the other day, one of my young sons, and somebody that I've mentored for many years, he was telling me, oh, you need to start talking to us about love, about dating and all that in your videos. And I said, that's a really nice topic. But listen to me, before we can talk about loving, before we can talk about getting married, before you can talk about you getting children, getting you a wife, getting you a husband, you first must establish yourself. There is nothing as tragic as when you're marrying a girl and you have no money. You are marrying a girl, you have no place to take her. You're marrying a girl, and from day one you start surviving. You start struggling from the very moment she enters your house. That is a tragedy, young man. That is why, as I speak to you those things, I want you to reposition yourself, to relocate yourself, and understand that God is asking you, where are you? When he asks you, where are you? Look back at your bank account and say, whoa, where am I as far as my finances are concerned? And then that makes you to start creating a mind in you which says, you know what, because God has already said, I am blessed, I am going to work towards being blessed. I'm going to work towards having plenty, and to having overflow, and to having things going on. Because as far as God is concerned, every one of us has the potential to become great. When God created us, he gave us the ability to go far. He gave us the ability to see things happening in our lives, and to see things being established in our lives. That is the first question that I'm addressing right now. He's asking, where are you? Then we see him again coming to another question in Exodus chapter number 4, verse number 2, where he's talking to a man by the name of Moses. That Moses was a great prophet who had actually delivered the children of Israel from Egypt. But before that occurrence of Moses going to Egypt to deliver them, while Moses was working somewhere in the bush, serving his father-in-law Jethro as a caretaker of his flock, the Bible talks about Moses going to get a sheep that was kind of stuck on the hill, or not really going to get a sheep, but he was in the process of looking for a sheep. But then as he was looking, he suddenly saw a burning bush. And the burning bush, when he saw it, he decided to go near it. No little did he know that he was actually going to have an encounter with God. And while he was in conversation with God, you go read it for yourself. I don't want to go into the details of what really was happening. There was a question that God asked him. It was an extremely obvious question. It is even a question where a child did not need an answer for, because it was very obvious. And what was the question that God asked Moses? He asked him, what is that you have in your hands? Now, those olden days, every shepherd used to carry a staff, he would carry a staff. The purpose of the staff was for purposes of taking care of the sheep. Now, Moses is having this staff on his hands, and he's conversing with God, and they're trying to talk about how not possible it is going to be for him to go. He's trying to give excuses on how this task cannot be done by him. Then God simply looks at him and says, what is that you're holding in your hands? What is that you're holding in your hands? Now, many times we don't realize that the very blessing that we need, or the very thing that we need to do something, is not far from you. The very thing that you need to do anything is in your hand. God has given to us time. God has given to us potential. God has given us ability and opportunities to do things. God has given us ways to do exploit. Some of those things are just within our reach. We do not need anything extra. All we need is the gifting is in you. All we need is the potential that is in you. All we need is that thing that you're already having right now. Many people don't realize the potentials they have in them. They don't realize that because many people focus in the wrong thing. They focus in the wrong ways of handling matters. People believe until somebody is helping them, that's the only way they are going to make it. So their focus is looking for this individual who is going to help them. Now, realize, I told you in another video that all of us need partnerships. We need somebody to connect with, because out of partnerships, we succeed. When you partner with the right connection, or partner with the right associations, you will definitely succeed in life. But listen to me, before you even connect with anybody, you must begin with yourself. What is it that you're holding in your hands? What is that you have in terms of a gift? What is that you have in terms of a talent? What is that you have in terms of ability? What is that you have in terms of a potential? Because believe me, you do have something. You may not have realized this, but you really do have something. I have seen some people, very young people, who have discovered what they have. And out of discovering what they have utilized it, and they have used it. And eventually, by the time they are 25 years old, they're 30 years old, they have become multi-millionaires. Today we have very young millionaires that are walking around, but the ones you see that are young, most of the time when you see them, it is not because of they did a big degree in college, or they did a PhD, or they went to school and did engineering or doctorate or blah blah. All those things are very good, they are no problem, but they did not get into those levels because of those things. No, they got into those levels because they understood what they had in their hands, and they started utilizing them. They started making use of them. They started building that potential and made it become something. I'm very keen right now in studying how the YouTube works, because this is a channel I believe very strongly that I can use to reach to thousands and millions of people as the days go by. And I've been going through things just to find out how it is. I came across the person who probably has the highest number of viewership and subscribers and what have you, that is on YouTube. They call him, I think, Mr. Beast or something like that. He's either number 1, 2, or 3. He's somewhere there. But I was looking at his background and how he began it, and I realized he began it when he was a young man. But the funny thing, while he was living with his mom, he started taking videos. He was so interested in taking videos with a small camera, small phone, those early years when we didn't even have the kind of cameras and the kind of phones we have today. His mom was wondering, what is wrong with you? You need to go to college. You need to go to college. The only way you can succeed is if you go to college. And in fact, he actually did go to college, which he never finished anyway. But he went to college because his mom was pushing him to college. But his passion was taking videos. His passion was doing whatever he was doing with a camera. Eventually, he left college and suddenly he started making money from the videos that he was doing. The thing that was in him, when he was brought forth seriously and he started working on it, today he's one of the multimillionaires that we have that are living here on earth. Somebody who is known everywhere by so many people. Why is that so? Because he utilized the gifting in him. He utilized the talent, the potential that was in him. Moses was asked by God, what is that you have in your hands? It was a simple stuff. In the mind of God, God knew that you don't need anything else. You don't need more than that you're holding in your hands. And today I'm challenging somebody. Is it a gift you have in terms of I don't know. You know what you can be able to do. Maybe you cook, maybe you do dresses, maybe you sing, maybe you write, maybe you do poems, maybe you serve people in particular ways. Maybe you look at all those things that you can be able to do. I want just to push you and stir you up and let you know that whatever it is that you have in your hands, you can actually utilize it to move yourself to the next level in as far as your money is concerned, as far as your wealth is concerned, and as far as your life is concerned. In my videos, the thing that I'm pushing again and again is encouraging you to develop yourself, and also encouraging you by making you realize that you have the ability to do it. Nobody was born to die poor. Nobody was born to die in poverty. Nobody was born to die struggling. Everybody, we were born the same time you were born. All of us, nobody came with anything, but all of us had the potential to become something. But we have allowed our minds to think that we cannot be able to do anything and we cannot be able to do much. So listen to me, my friends. You need to understand that within you, Ephesians chapter 3 verse number 20, the Bible says there is a power that is at work within you. And that power that is at work within you is able to cause you to do exceedingly abundantly above everything you can imagine or think about. One of these videos I'm going to be teaching you about the power of imagination, because you see, as long as you are able to imagine something, as long as you're able to dream something, as long as you're able to visualize something within yourself, believe me, you, my friend, you are capable of achieving it. And I have testimonies and stories of people who have actually just walked into that path that I'm talking to you about. They did not need to consult anywhere else. They simply consulted on themselves, or they simply refocused on themselves and discovered what they had. They discovered the power that is within them, and they started making use of that power. They started making use of that potential. They started making use of that ability, that gifting, that talent. I don't know what it is. Your parents may not be very excited about it maybe as a young man, but believe me, if it is yours, it is yours. Make use of it, grow it, develop it, and out of it we shall be hearing your name all over. We shall have your fame everywhere. Why is that so? Because God has already placed it in every one of us. Now, the third question that we are coming across is short to a man by the name of Ezekiel. Ezekiel was also a prophet. If you look at Ezekiel chapter number 37 and verse number 3, there is, as God is conversing with Ezekiel, God takes Ezekiel to a place where there were many dry bones of human beings. It was some army soldiers that had been killed, and they were all there, and they had been turned into bones. And while standing there, God asks Ezekiel an extremely difficult question. Now, while Moses' question was a simple one, while Adam's question was a simple one, Ezekiel's question was not easy. But guess what? That is why God asked it, because he knew that if he asked that hard question, it would quicken Ezekiel to start looking at the possibilities of difficult things becoming possible, of things which look impossible becoming possibility. That is one of the most powerful questions that anybody can ask. He asked Ezekiel, can those bones live again? You know, many a times we look at situations in our lives and we think these things is completely done, is completely dead. There is nothing, there is no hope. You only alternative or the only choice you have is to quit or to give up. Haven't we had scenarios like that? Many people, they come to a place, you come to the end of the road. I normally drive and I normally go to see clients, and sometimes I get into a road and I see a big sign written dead end. In other words, when you see dead end, it means if you go beyond here, there is nowhere you are going. You cannot go beyond here. It is over. And sometimes in life, that is the kind of a thing we are in. And God does know that. God does know that. Right now, as I'm speaking, there's somebody listening to me that probably you have come to the end of it all. And you're thinking, you know what? It's over. I can't do this. It can't happen. You have already thrown your hands. You have already given up. You have even started closing down shop and shutting down shop and just saying enough. It's just saying, I'm done. I'm gone. It's over. Listen to me, my friend. It is not over. God is asking, can these bones live again? What he's basically challenging you to say is that yes, as long as I'm working together with you, even the most impossible situation can become a possibility. Whatever it is that has been announced cannot work, it is possible to have it work. Even scenarios where we are having medical conditions, maybe right now as I'm speaking to you, your biggest challenge is your health. You know, the doctors have already pronounced and said you have cancer. They have already pronounced you have kidney failure. They have already pronounced there is a certain condition in your body which is extremely bad or extremely tragic. You know, it's a condition that when we look at it, humanly speaking, the only solution we are seeing is you dying or you getting to a place where it cannot work anymore. But listen to me, God is asking that question to you. Do you think this situation can be turned around? The answer for that is yes, it can be turned around. Why is that so? Because God desires to see you getting out of conditions that are difficult and get out of them victoriously. Now remember our first question where he was asking you, where are you? And we said the answers for where are you is you telling him, I am in a place where I'm blessed. I'm in a place where I am healed. I am in a place where I know there is a miracle in store for me in as far as my condition is concerned. There are times in life, and I am a witness of that. There are times in life where you find yourself in what we call the ends with. You find yourself in a place where you find this one is over. I am at the end. I cannot be able to go more than this. That is the very place where you lift up your eyes and say, God, if you don't rescue me now, I am done. If you don't come into this situation now, I am done. This is when you put in an element of faith. This is when you put in an element of creating your own reality. And what is your reality? Your reality is that this thing may be hard, but I'm going to go through it. I am going to make it. I am going to overcome it. Why is that so? Because as long as I have faith in God, and as long as I have faith that it is possible, as long as I have faith in myself, as long as I believe I am well able, then this particular difficult situation, I know I am going to deal with it and I'm going to overcome it. Today's video, I told you that I'm here to encourage somebody, and I'm encouraging you to know that in this life, things may be unknown to you. Things may be looking very difficult to you. Things may be looking very small that you're holding on your hands right now. But in this life, if you understand that you can encourage yourself, if you understand that you can do it and you can make it, if you understand that you can have partnership with God and make things happen, I tell you the truth, you become a very prosperous woman and a very prosperous man. I know things may be rough right now. I know things may be very difficult for you right now. Maybe your marriage is in a very bad place right now. Maybe your marriage is in the verge of almost dying right now. I do not know. Maybe you have a child that has been a troubling child to you right now and you're wondering what you're going to do. My video today is simply to help you and to encourage you and to let you know there is still some hope and you don't need to give up. You don't need to give up. And then finally, and this is actually what we climax with, because I believe this is the ultimate question. God asked the first question, he asked, where are you? The second question, what is it that you're having in your hands? The third question is can these bones live again? Can this situation which looks dead, can it come back alive again? Can it happen? And then finally, he asked Abraham in Genesis 18 verse 14, he asked him a question, is there anything too hard for God? I like that question. Is there anything too hard for God? The truth of the matter of, in this life, when God is asking that question, he still answers and he says, there is nothing impossible with God. There is nothing too hard with God. Genesis 18 verse 14. For there is nothing too hard with God. Even in the New Testament, we come and we hear Luke saying again, for with God there is nothing that is impossible. What I am here to tell you right now is that whatever situation that is looking extremely hard right now, whatever thing that you have been waiting for and somehow it's not working out, some of us who are living in the foreign countries, maybe the things you've been wanting to see happening in that country, in as far as you're settling there, have not gone through. It looks extremely hard. I am here to encourage you and to let you know that there is nothing too difficult for God. There is nothing hard for God. Abraham was being asked that question because when that question arose, is a scenario where Abraham and his wife Sarai were looking for a baby. They had looked for many years. And suddenly God is telling them, at your old age, you are getting yourself a son. And they look and they are wondering, is this really going to be possible? They are wondering, we are too old. They visualized and they examined themselves and they did everything you can do as a man to look at the condition, whether the condition was right for them to get a baby, physically, biologically, physiologically, and what have you, Kali. Whatever you may think about, they were looking and the only answer they were getting is that this is too hard. And I know I have a person listening to me right now. You look at every situation. The bank has denied you the loan. The bank is not going to finance you. The other person has said they cannot work with you. The other person is saying that they are going to leave you. The other person is saying that you are not good enough for this particular task. They have given you all those negativities. The thing has become so difficult and so hard in your mind. You are continuously having headaches because you don't know what to do. You are being tempted to do things that you should not be doing because things are too hard. I am letting you know today, as you hear the sound of my voice, as you hear me talking to your spirit and to your ears and to your heart, that there is nothing too hard for him. And because nothing is too hard for him, I want you to arise today, put your chest up, and I want you to walk confidently knowing that, you know what, as much as this may look very hard to us, as much as it may look too hard for me, but I know there's one who says there is nothing too hard for him, and committed to him in prayer and also committed to him in faith. Start rising up, realizing that, you know what, you are a conqueror. You know what, you can make it. You know what, you can overcome. There was a man by the name of Gideon in the Bible, in the book of Judges. If you look at Judges from chapter number 6 and what have you, there's a man there called Gideon. And Gideon, it's interesting because it was in the midst of them being under siege from the enemies, and their land had been taken over and they were almost like being enslaved to these people. And one time this man, as he is in hiding, not knowing what he's doing, God appears to him through an angel. And the Bible records and says that when the angel appears to him, Gideon wonders, who is this and what is this? And the angel starts talking to Gideon. But listen, the first thing the angel says or calls Gideon is that you are a mighty man of war. You are a mighty man of valor. In other words, when heaven looks at you, you may look intimidated, you may look afraid, you may look like nothing. There's no hope, and the only best thing to do is to stay in hiding. You may look like as though there's no solution for that scenario, but heaven does not look at you like that. He says heaven is looking like you as a mighty man, a man of war, a man who is able to conquer, a man who is able to overcome. And I'm doing the same thing through this video right now to encourage that woman who is almost giving up with their family, to let you know you are a mighty woman. You can realize, you can arise and do it. I don't want to get into a preaching mode, but I just want to stay in this encouraging mode to let you know there is no reason for you to give up right now. I'm speaking to somebody there who is almost giving up with that job situation. I want you to know, don't give up now, because this is not the time to give up. When heaven looks at you, when God looks at you, he sees a mighty man, sees a mighty woman. He sees somebody who is well able to overcome. And that is why he's asking you this beautiful question. Is there anything too hard for you? That is a question almost suggesting to you, telling you, come on, give me a try. See what I can be able to do for you. Today I pray for you, and I'm desiring for you that as I come to a conclusion of this video, and as I conclude what I'm speaking to you about, that you will reflect back on yourself, and you will arise, wipe your tears, and you will say, for sure, there is nothing too hard for God. I want that to be an encouragement to you. For those of you who probably have not had an encounter with the God I'm talking about, you can chat with me, you can comment, you can ask me questions. It is okay. And if you probably want to know more about this, you can still talk to me and I will explain to you more about this. But the truth of the matter is, I know you can become anything you want in life, and especially when you're partnering with God, you can become anything. Otherwise, God bless you so much. It's good to talk to you again, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Thank you for watching. God bless you, and have a wonderful rest of your time. I love you. Bye-bye.